Hey, what's up, everyone? Morgan Croson here, and today we'll be doing a throwing mechanics breakdown on Jayden Daniels, going in depth into some of the things that he does really well, some of the things that he can improve on, and really showing you guys what are things that you can apply to your own throwing to be able to just get that much better as a quarterback. And this is going to be from a couple weeks ago when they played the Browns. The big thing with Jayden Daniels that has been very impressive is just how good he's doing to just start off his NFL career. Typically, it takes a few weeks for these quarterbacks to get going, but Caleb Williams is a great example. But Jayden Daniels has basically been having a lot of success right from the beginning. He has 6 touchdowns, 6 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 4 rushing touchdowns, 1,400 yards in passing, and is definitely the leader currently when it comes to the Rookie of the Year, and really has been playing amongst the best among all quarterbacks in the NFL, not just rookies. So big thing that stands out though when watching him throw is he does a great job of getting into that lower leg position, that back loading into that, and typically will go in release time, so we can see he's kind of dropping the ball a little bit as he's going back. This is a thing that we're seeing a lot with quarterbacks, but that front hand is leaving at about 5.2.65. We're just looking at this number down here, and then it's coming out at 0.92. So he's a little bit under 0.3, 0.27. And that's amongst the top release time. So we want to be able to get as close to about 0.3 as possible. If we're a little bit above 0.3, that's fine. But once you can get into the 0.3 or under 0.3, that's really an elite level release time. It's a very effective throwing motion. And so that just means you're not wasting a lot of time going through the throw. He does a great job of coming back. And then we can see he's quick in opening up the hand there. So he's coming back here, and then he's opening up that hand, getting the nose of the football to be facing to the side. And I think that's an important thing to understand as a quarterback is the sooner we can get the hand to open up and the elbow to start coming through, then the better we're going to have the ball come out, or the quicker we're going to have the ball come out. And then it ends up being important. What are we doing with the rest of the body? How well are we able to generate rotation off of that back leg? Some athletes will put more of an emphasis on how they're pushing off of the back foot and really put a lot of emphasis on that. Others will put a greater emphasis on being able to generate more rotation within that front hip and being able to get more action there. Some people will even put a little bit more into the upper body. We saw that with Kirk Cousins, with really being able to rotate. And really, it ends up being a good combination of both. We could see with Jayden Daniels, he doesn't necessarily put a ton of push off in the back leg. It does look like he does push off, but it does look like a lot of this ends up being that front leg down and then creating a lot of rotation within that front hip to be able to get that momentum coming forward, and then using that to really propel that ball to come out in front very well. So that ends up being an important part, is just understanding where within your body you want to be able to generate a lot of force. And this is what I think ends up being the most impressive thing about him, is just a great job of being able to understand the pressure. So, these guys are fast. And I know it's easy to watch this and say, okay, that's not that difficult to play, but he does a great job of being able to kind of feel that blitz coming and, look at him, see him, and then be able to escape right off to the side and not even get touched here, right? So the thing that I think is important or impressive is the fact that this guy didn't even touch him and he was able to escape, get outside. And that's where he's been having, I think, the most success. Like we could just watch the Ravens game this last weekend. He's been killing against man coverage, right? Typically we'll see quarterbacks that once they get into the NFL, they'll have a little bit of a harder time against the blitz. They'll have a little bit harder time against man coverage just because you have to be so accurate. But he's done a great job here. Again, we could see very quick in being able to get that nose of the football around and gets a lot of rotation here, very stable within that front foot, and then is able to put the ball exactly where it needs to be. So typically when you get into the NFL, now you have a lot smaller windows to throw into, which really requires a lot more accuracy and a lot more precision, and you got to throw the ball on time. I think he does a good job of being able to do that as well. This is a great example of him kind of holding onto the football a little bit longer, and then as soon as he gets open, delivering the throw, even though he was going to get hit here. So another great example of a great play that ends up being kind of overlooked because, the play or the games are happening so quickly that you don't have the time to be able to really understand how important that is. But if you can't do that, right, if you can't hold on to the ball and then get rid of it as you're getting hit, then that makes it so now you're going to get a lot more pressure as a quarterback And, that makes it a lot more difficult. So then now that he could do that, now he doesn't have as much pressure. You could see they're kind of buying him almost. And then he's able to throw. And that makes it now a lot more difficult again, because now as a defensive coordinator, you're saying, okay, I need to be able to put pressure on him. And that's what they try to do. But he's still able to find the open receiver, get rid of the ball, and make that an accurate pass, even though getting hit. And a lot of that, again, has to do with what are we doing with our throwing mechanics? Are we stable within that front leg? I see so many people that are not consistent in how they're shifting their weight onto their front leg. And if there's one thing that you could take away from this video, it would be work on how you're shifting your weight onto your front leg to make it so that's something that's very consistent. If you're not consistent with that weight shift, you're not getting onto that front leg effectively or as often, then that's going to end up really negatively impacting your throw. The better you can get onto that front leg, and we have a lot of videos on this in Quarterback University and even within YouTube channel, where the better we can get onto that front leg and then be able to sync that up with the throwing motion, now we're going to be able to see a lot of improvement within the throw. And that's something you want to be working on all the time. I think there's a lot of quarterbacks that I'll do breakdowns with and be talking to about their mechanics. And I think that guys that take the most away from things like Quarterback University or breakdowns and see the most improvement really do a great job of taking that information and applying it to their warm up and what they're doing in one-on-ones. And again, during like the beginning parts of practice, if you guys do endos or have that kind of individual time, using that time to be able to make some improvements within the mechanics make a big difference when it comes to playing in the games and being able to actually implement it into your throwing motion when playing the game. So, yeah, I think that ends up being really important. Stay consistent with the mechanics. You got to always be working on it. Even these guys here, I can guarantee you that right now they're still working on their mechanics. They're still working on their weight shift. They're still trying to figure out what they could do within their throwing motion to be able to just get a little bit better. And the more they can make improvements there, then the higher level you're going to be able to go. And it's the same thing, especially when you're in like high school, you got to be putting a lot of time and energy and focus into where can you get better within the mechanics, and taking the time during practice to be able to work on it will really make a big difference, especially the longer you continue to play and even throughout the season to make it so you want to get the results that you want to see. So, as always, guys, thanks for watching. If you like the information, click that thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the channel. If you guys have any recommendations for videos you'd like to see or quarterbacks you'd like to see, I'd love to be able to help you guys out. And, you can leave those in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.